Hi everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we are gonna make cherry fruit roll-ups from frozen cherries and some applesauce to give it some body. They call pectin, that helps it set up into a fruit roll-up. Without the applesauce, it wouldn't be much of a fruit roll-up. It would be kind of a mess. So we've got all the ingredients here, as well as this is my honey. I like to sweeten these fruit roll-ups a little bit. Cherries can have they could be a little bit bitter. They could use a little bit of sweetness. There's nothing better than some good clover honey. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the cherries into my friend, the blender. There's one 12-ounce bag and a second now. Applesauce, you can measure this out. I usually go about half the bottle, about there. You don't have to be too fussy with this. It's basically going to be a lot of good filler. It'll make the fruit roll up go a lot farther. I want to do another one of these. That's why I'm only doing half. And I'll use this half for another fruit roll for a little while. Don't forget to put the cover on. All right, let's start nice and slow. Milkshake. Once it gets started, you'll see the applesauce is starting to get down to the blades. It's going to start mixing things in. This is when you want to speed her up, the puree. You can see all the little bits and pieces of cherries. We want all that gone. We want a nice, uniform, red color without a lot of little bits in it. It takes a few minutes. Let's get a look here. See, we're still seeing some bits, but it's getting better near the bottom. Another minute or so. Don't worry, I won't make you watch the whole process. We'll come back when it's done. All right, that should do it. See how everything's nice and uniform. It took a few minutes. We're on a nice slow. That's about a tablespoon right there. That should sweeten it up really nice. That's a puree of cherry. Take a little taste, make sure it's sweet enough. I have no doubt that it is. See how beautiful color it is. I really do like the color that it comes out as. It's like a nice burgundy red. Oh, delicious, really sweet. That's what you want because it loses a little bit of sweetness as it dehydrates. I don't eat a lot of sugar in the mornings, so just getting one mouthful of this perked me up like a cup of coffee. A lot healthier too. Okay, so this is all ready to go. I'm gonna set up my dehydrator here to get it started. Across the way in the Dutch oven, my new Dutch oven, I have tomato sauce simmering over here. Just before I brought you in, I was finishing it off. Now it just has to kind of simmer for an hour or two before it's ready. Now again, I have plenty of time for that because this will be dehydrating more than likely for 4 to 6 hours. So this is gonna make quite a few snacks, quite a few trail snacks. I'll be eating these straight through till next fall, more than likely. I mean, unless I do a whole lot of hiking, and you've heard me say this before. If I run out of food, that means I'm doing a lot of hiking and camping, and all right, bring it on. I'll either do another run of dehydration in 2 months, or I'll just go out and buy myself some dried fruit. These are the fruit roll-up rings. They're gonna go in the tray, and then we fill it up with the fruit mixture. All right, so our trays are all good. We're all sterilized, we're all stacked. Our mixture is ready to go. It's sweetened and blended. Here's the fun part. I mean, basically you're just gonna be pouring it. Now listen to me, you don't wanna go too thick with these. Better to go too thin at first, and if you have to thicken them up later. So, all right, now one thing not to forget, before you put the cherries onto the trays, you want to use a little bit of cooking spray, oil in a can, kind of oil spray, or else they will stick and they're a bugger to get off. So I'll pre-treat all these before I fill them all up. Now, slow and steady, my friends, slow and steady. Try to stay near the center of the ring and it will drain down towards the edges. I like to get this center ring real nice and uniform. And then I can start to see how things are falling here. Like I'm a little heavier on this side, so I'll start from here and go out a little bit further from the center and come back. Take your time. You're in no rush. That's about the right thickness that you want. If you go much thicker than that, it's going to take a lot longer to dehydrate. Yeah, that's beautiful. Next one. And so on. As you see, we're going through it pretty fast. Once you get an idea about how much you want, just like most things, once you do a couple of them, you get more efficient as you go along. Another perfect one. This is good. Maybe just a smidge thicker than the last. Get it all out to the edges. This one's ready to go. We'll take this and we will continue the process. Again, nice and uniform. Take your time. You don't want to spill it. This stuff's valuable. There's a lot of work involved here. You don't want to be spilling it on the floor, letting the dog lick it up. Although Miss Bella does enjoy that aspect of the cooking videos. There's usually a snack for her when I'm done. Okay, looks like we could have just enough for one more. I got 3. Looks like I'm going to get 4 today. Fruit roll-ups is a pretty good haul. See if we can't get all this goodness out of here. I don't want to see it go to waste. Okay, we got it nice and even and smooth. This is the Nesco Garden Master American Harvest Dehydrator. Good unit. I've had it for quite a few years now. I've been using it pretty regularly. All right, well with these, I think I'm going to set it straight up for a 4-hour run at 135. Temperature, jerkies, meats, and fishes, 160 degrees or 71 degrees Celsius. Fruits and vegetables, 135 or 57 degrees Celsius. That's our setting. If you want to dehydrate your nuts, it's 105. Let's give her 4 hours. These are going to be on the dehydrator for a while. I'm simmering some tomato sauce. They're going to go on as soon as the fruit roll-ups come out. Before I go to bed this evening, I should have both of these roll-ups done. And then I'll show you how I store them. Once I have the tomato sauce fruit roll-up, I will be adding that to the ground beef with some vegetables that I'll have dehydrated as well as fruit rolled. One of my favorite things that I dehydrate is onions and bell peppers. I make a puree just like with the tomato sauce and the cherries, and I dehydrate it like that into a fruit roll-up. I tell you, that's a really delicious snack all by itself. Now, I'll take those bell peppers and onions, add it to the tomato sauce fruit roll-up and the dehydrated beef. What do we have, kids? We've got a bowl of chili on our hands. The only thing you have to bring along will be a little bit of hot sauce, kind of spice it up if you like it, and of course, never forget the cheese. I'll bring you back in approximately 4 hours. Thank you so much for clicking on that button and watching these videos. I can't tell you how much pleasure I take in reading the comments from my subscribers and friends out there on YouTube. We'll see you in a little while when the cherries are done, and then we'll put the tomato sauce on to dehydrate. Thank you.
3 hours later.
Hi everybody. The cherry fruit roll-ups are still in the dehydrator. It's been just shy of 3 hours now. They need at least another hour, but in the meantime I want to get on to the second part of this video, which is dehydrating a tomato sauce as a fruit roll-up with my dehydrator, just like we did with the cherries. As you saw earlier, I have made a homemade marinara sauce, just tomatoes, onions, garlic, herbs and spices, and just a touch, and literally less than a teaspoon of good olive oil in the bottom of the pot, just to sweat the onions down. I kept it real simple. There's no meat, there's very little fat, there's no big heavy vegetables. I just put one piece of carrot in the middle just to sweeten it up, take some of the bitterness out. It's still in there now, it could stay. I'm going to take a ladle and I'm going to apply it to the fruit roll-up tray. Very similar to the last project, except it's already hot, so it actually dehydrates a lot faster. As with the cherry fruit roll-ups, have to shoot the tray with just a bit of vegetable oil spray. Just like that. Nothing to it. Get my ladle. This is fresh, just finished cooking for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Let it settle for a little while. Still pretty ripping hot. So just like we did before. Nice and even. each one of these trays is going to make 2 servings of marinara sauce. Ready to eat, well, ready to rehydrate, I shouldn't say ready to eat. I guess if you're real hungry, you could. I think this third one might be just a little bit too much. So you kind of use that to gauge in your mind. How much would you put on a serving? About twice that. I usually put 2 or 3 ladles. So I think we're just about right. You spread this out. It's like making a pizza without the cheese. It just made me a little sad thinking about a pizza without the cheese. Give it a couple of taps to get the air bubbles out. Make sure it goes right to the edges. Let me give you a good look. Okay, there's still a few pieces of vegetables in there. A little onion, a little garlic. I like it that way. It's not what you call a chunky sauce by any stretch. By the time it's done dehydrating, it's gonna cook a little bit more. So a lot of that stuff is just gonna liquefy when it's rehydrated and make a really fine sauce. All right, so this is gonna go on the Nesco Garden Master dehydrator, and it's going to take probably about 3-4 hours most. I don't think it's going to take much longer than the cherries, which will be done in 1 hour and 1 minute. Now, for demonstration purposes, I just did the 1 tray. Of course, I have to wait until the cherry fruit roll-ups are done before I can get the fruit roll-up liners off of them and complete doing the sauce. But this way, I get this done now while I have some beautiful light coming in the windows. And then I'll have myself a whole season's worth of cherry fruit roll-ups for snacking on the trail. And one of my main ingredients to the trail recipes is going to be dehydrated tomato sauce fruit roll-ups.
1 hour later.
That was 4 hours. Let's see how it looks. It's still wet. 1 more hour. 1:30.
2 hours later.
All right, the sun has gone down. It's been 6 hours. We're on 0. Let's have a look. All right, these are perfect. Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna bring these outside to the garage where they can cool off before I roll them up and cut them up into individual fruit roll-ups. Okay, they're plenty cooled off. Start with this first one here. They're all dry, real nice. What I want to do is just grab a little edge here and it pulls off. Remember the color forms? Kids? Just like that. Same kind of consistency. Off the tray. Being on the parchment paper is going to help. It's going to pull any residual moisture out. Fold like that. You see it'll start to buckle here as you move it, so you just relieve the pressure. And roll them up. Relieve the pressure. Okay, run through these and fast forward. All of the dehydrator parts are going to go into a sanitizer bath. And I'm going to let these roll-ups, which are still warm, I'm going to let them cool off even more. Okay, this is the one that I did earlier for you in regular speed, just to give you the example. The rest of them are all lined up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trays. We get 2 servings in each tray, so we've got 10 meals right there. 10 good-sized meals, by the way. I usually, to me, a meal is about a meal and a half. I would like to have extra. We're ready to rock and roll. 6 hours at 1:50 start. I'll come back in about 15 minutes or so, and I'll knock that down to 1:35. You don't want to over-dehydrate these things, or else they won't rehydrate well. This is where we are with the cherry fruit roll-ups. They're nice and cool. Just took them in. Basically, it's that round piece, kind of shaped like that. It's all rolled up. I'm using the same knife that I would use to slice like beef jerky. You know, a slicer, a meat slicer, nice and sharp. Just ran the stone over it. And now I want it to be, I like to keep them consistent if I can, about the thickness of my blade, which is just about right. Inch and change, makes for a good portion. That's what I do. Okay, I'm not gonna film myself doing all the slicing, but I'm gonna take what I call one of the premium slices, right? The real premium ones are kind of on this end, where they're real solid all the way through. Those are the ones I take hiking with me, you know? You just pull on the parchment, out comes the fruit roll-up. It's still nice and juicy. You know, once it cools off more, it'll really solidify. But right now, it's really good. Love it. Okay, I'm going to turn off the camera and save this for myself. Yum. I'm going to slice up the rest of these guys into bite-sized pieces. They'll hold up for a couple of days or more in your pack. Maybe less if it's really hot, but you know, if you're gonna keep them for weeks, months, keep them in the refrigerator. They'll hold up better, and you can pack them in your bag just before you leave, and they'll hold for a good weekend or even you know, the better part of a week. All right, you can just pack these babies with some of the trail mix, some nuts, raisins. You got yourself some good trail food right there, real fresh, real good. You know, right now they're still a little bit juicy because they're right out of the dehydrator, but as they finish off, they'll cool off and they'll solidify, get almost like a crystallized, like sugar. It is sugar, honey. Once they're done setting up, I'll put them into a plastic bag and keep them refrigerated for a while. They'll keep a lot longer, a lot better in the refrigerator. You can put them in the pack.
5 hours later.
Open up the dehydrator and see what we've got. Definitely looks done. Good. There's that little wet area right there, but all in all, this is all nice and done. Let's grab an edge up here. Oh yeah, I guess it's crispy. Very crispy. Alright, now let's bring it straight down. Starting to get a little wet there. Yeah. Might need a little bit more. Now, if I can get this to the point where I can flip it over, that would be a good thing. With a couple of missing spots. What I'm going to do, see if it turned. So I'll realign this with what's left, and that'll go back on the machine for a short run. And we're going to give it another blast. Let's see, it's almost 2 now. I'm going to give it another 2 hours. That means I gave it 3. That'll give it a total of 5 hours. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. I was up real late last night finishing off this batch of fruit roll-ups. Tomato sauce fruit roll-ups are in here. I was just warming them up a little bit this morning. They were done before I got up today. And I'm just getting them warm so they're a little bit flexible, which they are. These are completely dehydrated. They're beautiful. Really nice. Okay, this is a little bit simpler to do than the fruit roll-ups with the cherry fruit roll-ups. I'm not going to be individually slicing these guys. I'm going to be just rolling them up and putting them into a freezer bag to go into the refrigerator to finish setting up. Okay, so I've got most of them rolled up already, kind of like these. That's 2 of them. Each one of these lines will be 2 portions of marinara sauce to be used in recipe. This is a one right here, already broken in half, already in the bag. That's where everybody's going eventually. And this is the last one I have to roll up. Now, basically, I'm just grabbing it from the end. And it doesn't have to be fancy or pretty, it just has to hold together. You get it with the other guys. They'll hold their shape after a little while. And then what I'll do is I'll fold them in half and they go into the freezer bag just like that one is. You don't have to be so precise. It's approximately half of one of these is a serving. So when I go to do my recipes, I'll just reach into the bag, pull out approximately half, and I put it into a bowl to weigh. Pack all this stuff up into my freezer bag,
And I want to get it into the freezer for a little while for it to finish setting up. These are nice and crispy though. I'm not really too worried about these. I've already got one of the roll-ups in the bag already. That's fine. What I'll do is I like to keep the bag open because I'm already kind of got a mess going on here. I'll keep it all isolated access when you're making the recipes. Yeah, break it in half into the bag. I'm not abandoning all these little pieces. This whole area has been sterilized, so I'll be able to collect all these little pieces. That's just good sauce. No sense wasting it. Again, break it down the middle and right in the bag. It's as simple as it gets. There's no need to get fussy and cut them into neat little rolls like we did with the cherries. Okay, that's what we got. That was more or less 2 cans of tomato puree, 2 cans of paste, a couple of cloves of garlic and onion, tiny smidge of olive oil, just enough to sweat down the onions. Simmered for a couple of hours, placed on the Nesco dehydrator for approximately 7 hours is what it boiled down to in the long run. And you got a really nice product here. This is going to be approximately 10 portions. It was 5 rings, 5 roll-ups. Each is 2 portions, so it's 10 healthy man-sized portions of marinara sauce. Now, again, I'll be adding this to our dehydrated beef. I'll be bringing along a carbohydrate, either a pasta or a rice, to serve over. And that's it. That's all you're going to need. And this is bell peppers and yellow onions, dehydrated. Wow, they really did hold. I did these late spring or early summer. Still nice and pliable. Smells beautiful. And you can actually crunch on this. It's not a bad snack all by itself. Yeah, oh good. So I don't have to do another batch. Mason jars really do hold these well. The oxygen removers are a good idea. Or a vacuum sealing system, I don't have. I tend to go through this stuff really quick, so the idea of putting it into a package and vacuum sealing it doesn't really make a lot of sense for me. I'm going to be eating this pretty fast. Thanks, everyone.